Yeah, so one of our producers, connected us with a story that came up online. And the question started this way. It says, what is the worst friendship betrayal experience you've ever had? So some people see betrayal in different ways. But this particular young lady says she was at a pool with her friend, and they were in the changing room, and she was half clad. And being half clad, suddenly her friend is requesting a selfie. And she didn't realize that her friend was still videoing them when, she was still getting dressed. And there was a song that came up, and she started dancing to the song while changing. In a raunchy way. But she didn't realize
that she was being recorded.
So this is two ladies now. This isn't, a guy releasing his girlfriend's video. This isn't that she took a video of herself and posted it. It was another lady. So the betrayal here, of course, comes about when this video eventually leaks and gets to her mother. The story goes along to even talk about her eventually becoming suicidal and her father disowning her. And of course, she was beaten mercilessly as well. So I have so many questions. My first question is, how old is this young lady? And I feel like the fact that she was already edging on suicidal, there were signs of her wanting to commit suicide. Who really, should we really be talking about just the betrayal of the friend? Should we be talking about the way the parents treated the situation?
Responsibility of people around her, or people who are related to her at such an instance.
Exactly.
What would be what would you suggest? How would you suggest that they handle it in this case, especially noting that she's from a very conservative home? That's one thing. And the thing about conservative families is that no explanation.
Exactly.
This happened, Abby. Is this not you? This is how we attend to it. You're either ostracized or this and that. And you don't want to talk about the impact it has on the human mentality, on the individual's mentality, because it can drive you to those kind of thoughts, like she noted. But there are very many things to unpack here. First off, I believe one thing about phones, cameras, and your nakedness, never, even by your own self.
Not even by error.
By error, don't even do it. Don't do it. There are instances of people, Kim Kardashian, for instance, her daughter was making a video inside of her living area while she was getting perhaps dressed and stuff like that. Those are the kinds of mistakes that could happen. So with my daughter now, she has those tendencies to actually make recordings at home because she calls it her documentary. I'm always very careful, and I tell her the places that she can do those, bedrooms are not one of those places.
Sure. I'm wondering, what would your response have been if you had seen such a video of a relative, let's say a sister?
Okay, I'm going to hinge on the responsibility from the parents, right, and how they handled the situation. I'm not going to say they were a bit too irrational about it, because you can't tell parents how to respond, or you can't tell people how to respond to situations like this. It's also possible that the father, for him to have taken that drastic measure, could have also felt somewhat betrayed. That this is he was seeing his daughter in another light. That's never seen her before. Sure. And to be honest, we have different sides of ourselves, which we expose, or which we show to people around us, right? I think that action they took was too drastic. But eventually, the mother made up for it when she eventually found out the truth. She, still supported the daughter by, getting the friend arrested after they found out that it was actually the friend who betrayed her.
Deliberate, by the way. She actually gave it to another member.
She did,
to actually post it.
Yes.
It was really deliberate. Be careful who your friends are out there. Because honestly, your first question was how did she put it?
What's your worst friendship betrayal?
Man, there are many.
Well, really?
Hey, there are very many.
I don't know if I've let people get that close to actually betray me that much. I've sort of put up a wall, an imaginary wall, where I just don't let people get that
into that
far.
space.
You can only be betrayed by someone familiar.
Yeah.
And very often it's very, very it's
Yeah.
not formal or anything.
Like-
It's just stuff that are regular, normal, that you have entrusted to that person. That now my guy, you be,
Yeah.
who's your guy, type of thing.
Yeah.
By the time they perhaps become a bit over excited and let that kind of material outside, it's a betrayal.
Yeah.
And in my case, that kind of a thing has happened before, and it ruined friendships, not between I and that person, but I and other friends and even relatives as well. But guess what? I forgive, and that person is still my friend. But the people around that
We'll never forget.
Sometimes forgiving and forgetting can also be risky because you've already seen the writing on the wall. You know this is how this person is. It just feels like you're setting yourself up for another betrayal at some point.
There are threefold: forgive, forget,
And then
learn.
Learn. Okay.
I
All
don't
right.
think
Fantastic.
so. Forgetting, I think you need to be reminded of that betrayal because I feel that it also helps you to treat your future relationships better.
Very
it
true.
gives you wisdom on how to handle your
Very
relationships
true.
as you get
Absolutely
along.
agree with you.
So yes, you can forgive, but do not forget. Then you also know, it also helps you to also learn how to protect your space
exactly.
and people that you let into your space. It doesn't mean that you have to be my friend because I've forgiven you.
Sure.
I've forgiven you, we're fine. We're good where we are. We don't have to be, friends
That's the
anymore.
learning I'm
And that's the
talking about.
learning, yes. So, it just helps us.
And even
as
if
we
you
get on.
trust these people, as soon as she saw that this babe was taking that, Omo, you go delete them. If not, we are not living this
Yeah,
changing
but then
room.
you know
even get
that
to
we
that
always,
point.
when it comes to relationships, we pay more attention to the red flags than in friendships. There are also red flags in friendships.
friendships, yeah.
But because friendships are sort of catered to as being casual,
Yeah.
she's my friend. Like,
Yeah.
oh, she's my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, like,
She's not gonna
she's
do
my
this.
person.
Yeah.
Not gonna do this.
Yeah.
But darling, the red flags are there.
Wow.
You're not gonna see them, but they are
Really?
there. You just have to open your eyes to them. But then again, well, we're human beings. You just never see some of these things coming.
Now, in terms of punishing this young girl, they really went far, in my opinion, with the punishment. I feel like the punishment was already the amount of shame she was going through.
Exactly.
The mental state she
Yeah.
was in, she was already broken down to the smallest version of herself, exposed. Adding and piling on top of that was not in the best interest of that child. I'm saying child now because it sounds like a very young lady. And I'm just like, please, if you are a parent out there, that God forbid something like this happens in your space, don't disown that child. You might just be giving in to forces that had negative plans for your child.
Yeah.
Say that to fanatic religious people.
Yeah.
I think
actually-
sometimes the psychological effect that these
Yeah.
things always have on the child. I know that we as parents
Yeah.
can be a bit too, all up in our space, all up in our world that, but
Yeah, honestly.